Highland Park, Michigan. FM 88.1 WHBR, the Highland Park, WIE 107.3 FM Charlotte, Amalia, Virgin Islands. The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily views and opinions of WHBY, affiliates, management, or sponsors.
Thank you.
Brothers and sisters, are you tired of reading the Holy Scripture and not really understanding what you read? And if are you reasonably sure that you ever tested that which you feel? No.
The recording has started. This conference is being recorded.
That's reasonable. But Scriptural Discussion is something. A live broadcast every Sunday at 12:03. That's 88 they start and come and hey, why don't you call and let you discuss the Holy Bible? Ask the Holy Quran and come to an agreement about the Holy Scripture and the truth. So take the Scriptural Discussion with the Son of Man every Sunday at 12:02 right here on 833 FM 88 for my devil station and Comcast cable. You can call in live on the air at 866 0342 and 868-0351. Of course, the area code is 3. That's 313-868-4326, 868-0342, and 868-0351. And now let's go live. Scriptural Discussion.
Thank you, baby. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the Truthful, and the Most Just, I greet all of you once again who have the hunger and thirst for the understanding of Allah's instruction in righteousness, which we call Holy Scriptures. May Allah's Salaam Alaikum. I have quite a bit I want to say to you this evening and share with you. But before I do, I want to invite those who disagree with anything that I teach. You know, oftentimes the reason we fight each other is based on misunderstanding. You know, as far as devils go, by now you ought to realize that you can't live in peace with devils. Where do you go on the earth and find peace? Anywhere. Name it. Name the place. That's because everybody obeying their devils. Your evil thoughts. You're not going to have peace with a mind full of evil. The best you're going to achieve is some temporary enjoyment. You're going to laugh little and weep much. Which of you can't say that that's true? I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how poor you are. As long as the devil is the master up there in your brain. You go from one illusion to the next. You either have your own illusions, which are called delusions, or you have yours and somebody else's too. And you haven't found peace yet. But every time you look up, somebody's selling you some snake oil. Back in the Western days, they had a tonic that they were selling people. This will cure anything. Ain't gonna cost you but $1. They had people that knew how to find water with a stick. Because he knew something that other people didn't know, that it's water under all land if you dig deep enough. But anyway, they call it the water table. So, you know, they capitalize off of your ignorance. If that's how I have to live, I don't want that. I don't want to live if that's how I have to live, is taking advantage of ignorant people. I refuse to live that way. I mean, you know, it's because I understand that the ignorant people are my family. Not just because they're family, but only, I mean, I don't know of any. Well, there's one species that will prey on its own kind. That's the snake. The king snake. Other snakes run when they see him come. He's a fellow who walks around, who crawls around looking for snakes to eat up. Is that right? Yeah, he's a rough fella. So I want you to know that we're not snakes. Even if we've lived on the level of the snake, we're not snakes. But in order to gain rulership, to be what we need to be, to master the creation, we had to experience many levels of life. And in order to master anything, you must first gain an understanding of that thing. If the thing can be mastered. I mean, you can listen to me from now until the world look level, and you ain't never gonna master me. Because I'm the mind that's speaking to you now is just like this universe, ever expanding. You can only master that which is finite. And in order to master the infinite, you must become infinite. It ain't but one God at a time. So, you know I makes people angry. You know, it's funny how people get angry with me and they say things, that nigga think he God? Well, you told me that a man 2,000 years ago was God. You didn't seem to have no problem with that. Make up your mind. Is God a man or not? He just ain't a man that he should lie. And he ain't the son of the man of sin that he should repent. So I want to share with you a little something here. It's a young man. His name was Jazir Kabir. I don't hardly hear none of my people in this that was born here in America. I've never heard one of them call themselves by that name. So I'm assuming he's not one of my fellow slaves, ex-slaves. And he's maybe in from the Orthodox world of Islam, which is the world that is at its end now. Just like this world of Christian and the world of Hinduism and all these religions that coexisted at the same time. The mere fact that you all coexisted at the same time tells you that neither one of you knew the truth. Because you acknowledge that there's only one God. Well, at least the Christians and the Orthodox Muslims and the Jews, even the Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Those three acknowledge that there's only one God. Then that one God don't have three religions. And since all of you was willing to go along with each other, that tell you all of you was wrong. Right does not agree with wrong. That's the one thing that you heard the brother who brought me into the temple for the first time. He told you that about me, that he noticed right away, that I was easy to get along with, unless I disagreed with something you was doing or saying. If I thought it was wrong, I told you that it's wrong. I stood up one night in the temple. They thought I had lost my mind, I guess, because they put me out. But the minister was teaching, and he was talking about the burning bush, and he was giving wrong understanding of it. And I just couldn't sit there and listen and say that. I told him that's not what that means. And the captain and the lieutenant, they ushered me out. But I was walking up toward the podium telling him that's not right. That's not what you. And so that Brother Donald, he was talking about some other things. I once told on him. He said I like to got us both in trouble. But anyway, that's just that's just me. That's that's the way Allah made me.
Excuse me, sorry, yeah.
Yes.
Question from Mark Swain.
Yes, Mark.
He says, did you inform Donald that he is not a Muslim? He didn't follow him.
No, I didn't need to. If he, it's just like, that's like if I tell my mother, like I told you, Mark, that brother brought me to the light. So I will always, regardless to the fact that he knows how I feel, he knows that I've been telling him all for a long time who I am. But you notice he said that. And so the mere fact that he had not yet accepted me as who I'm saying I am tells you that he knows that I don't consider him a follower of mine, which means he's not Muslim. He's not one who submits to me. But at the same time, I told you my mother was not one who submitted to me either. But she took care of me when I was little. And I will never forget that. I'm not ungrateful. It's just like some people, they think that they need to grow up and tell their mama off. They need to grow up and tell their daddy off. Like them Menendez boys grew up and felt like they needed to get their parents out the way so they could get that money. Little did the parent know that they had gave birth to their own murderers. Surely man is ungrateful. What if when I first was seen by Brother Donald, what if he had said this nigga ain't no Muslim. I don't want to be bothered with him. And he hadn't invited me to the temple. I probably still wouldn't be no Muslim. Especially if I'd ran into some of them boys who was in there hypocrites in the nation and wasn't even attempting. Yeah, I mean, it was some crazy stuff going on. And he protected me from that, warned me about it. And so I can give him time to see me, like he gave me time to wake up too. I give everybody time to wake up. But I tell those who think that they are in Islam, I simply tell you, look, you are calling yourself something that you are not doing. Allah said, I'm going to create a man from sounding clay of black mud. He's going to be a black man. He said, I'm going to create him because ain't none righteous. No, not one, but I'm going to create one. Which means I'm going to raise one. So when I have made him complete and breathed into him of my spirit, humble yourself and submit to him. That's what fall down making obeisance to him mean. And so the angels, all of the prophets, they made obeisance. You heard the messenger. He said, I could name you. He said, but I'm expecting him here pretty soon. And this was in 72, and I showed up. That was in around September of 72. In February of 73, I was at Savior's Day. That's pretty soon. And so he said, and I don't want to be so smart to let him come and find me taking over his job of naming the people. And so he was over the whole nation, and he didn't get too proud to humble himself to me. And he told everybody, he didn't say ain't nobody coming but behind me. He said ain't nobody coming behind me but God. I better tell you that. What God? The God of men. What men? Set your face for religion being upright, the nature made by Allah in which he hath created men. And so when Allah create, that means he raising one. He raising me from a dead level, from an ignorant level to a knowledgeable, enlightened level. And he lift me up from the earth, the earthy mind. As such, as is the earthy, such are they that is earthy. Is that right? Well, he lifted me up above the earthy mind. And so if I be lifted up from the earthy mind, I will draw all men, the prophets. I draw all them unto me. Hereafter shall you see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the command of the Son of Man. And so that is what's going on. And so you may not believe in me yet, but if you live on this earth, you soon gonna believe in me. If you plan on living here. Because your own wickedness gonna take you away if you don't listen to me. Like it's taking people away. It took that millionaire away that murdered all them people and then murdered himself. Took him away. That's the same mind that's in you. Don't fool yourself. You got the same mind he had, the mind that the world gave you. Your mind is as worth as much as Confederate money was worth after the Civil War. That's what your mind is worth to me. Ain't nothing you got that I envy. Nothing. If I had to sit and listen to somebody call me out like I done called you out, and I'm believing in something and I can't answer them, I'd be ashamed. And I sure would. I said, look, man, I'm with you. I said, I thought I knew something till I heard you. You just a devil. There ain't nothing I can do about it. I mean, you love evil. That's the only reason I can think of that you don't want me. I haven't asked you to do nothing evil. All I've asked you to do is treat each other right. Just like that song, Marvin Gaye song. He said, don't go and talk about my father. God is my friend. And all he asks of us is that we give each other love. But you ain't got no room in the heart can't have, it ain't got space for love and hate. It just don't work like that. That's the law of physics. If you standing on one spot, I can't stand on the same exact spot you standing on. No two objects may occupy the exact same space at the exact same time. This little sister asked the messenger about, well, can love and hate dwell together? He said no. Well, we don't contradict each other. We speak what we know. You speak what you believe, and then you get angry when somebody else don't believe it, as though you were speaking something that you knew. The term know does not mean believe. So I'm teaching you what I know. So I want to read what tell Mark Twain, that was a good question. A lot of times people think that I'm just going around condemning people. I didn't say that to condemn people. I said that to make people think about what you are declaring yourself to be. You claim you are Muslim. Well, the term Muslim means you are one who submits. And he said, well, I submit to Allah. Well, and who is that? Then you go you go do like the Christian do. You start looking up, or you start declaring him to be something other than man. Yes, you do. That's why you're upset with me, because I told you I am Allah. But you expected not the meeting with me. You expected not the meeting with us. For when the Son of Man comes, all the holy angels comes with me. And those who expect not the meeting with us. The shock of the hour is a grievous thing. Now you never thought you would be able, that you would hear a man stand up in front of the whole world and tell you that he is God. And you wouldn't be able to argue with him. Because you know you can argue, boy. You really can't argue. You just thought you was arguing. You just bring forth some disputation. And now I done took that out your mouth because I know how to take it out your mouth because I'm the best knower. But see, now all of you know things, but the mind that's in me is the best knower on the planet. Every situation I look at, I can immediately give you the best way of looking at that situation, no matter what you came up with. You know why? Because the truth, Allah has made me a teacher who can see into the depth of things. That's another reason I'm called Son of Man. Because the sun, I'm compared to the sun because I'm able to see into things. Like some of the rays of the sun, they don't just hit you and bounce off, they go through you. You see? Go through the earth and keep right on going. Like you wasn't there. Why is that? Because even though to you everything looks solid, but we are actually matter that's compressed together, and there's space between the matter. Look at your skin under a real powerful microscope, and you will see that it's not as smooth like you think it is. It's you look at it strong enough, and you would see just why you think some substances are able to be absorbed through the skin. No, it's passing through the skin down into you. Do you understand? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I just want to show you that you turn me down. What you are actually doing, you are equivalent to a caterpillar that just can't believe he could become something like that thing he saw flying up over him, if he have eyes. That thing flying up over him. He don't realize that's his future. I told you I would change your stars. You become just like that you was admiring so much. Sit you down next to Jesus. Sit you down next to Moses. And you be his brother. So that's another reason they call me Father. So, so I don't look at the human family as an enemy. I see the real enemy that you can't see, directing you to your own death, to your destruction. So, you know, I ain't here for that. You know, if I could just get you to stop putting money and putting cars and houses, clothing and shoes, putting all those in the place where your love for the Lord should be. You'd see that all of them things, everybody could have that. And you wouldn't have to spend so much time working on jobs and whatnot, doing jobs that you don't really enjoy. That's one of the things that shorten your life. That's one of the things that break your peace. Having to get up and report to a job that you don't like. If if you was intelligent enough to accept me, I'd show you how life's supposed to go. It's too big a universe for us to be around here just eking out. That's all we actually wind up doing, just living on the level of a beast. He wake up every day going out there to find him something to eat. And when he get there with his work, his day's work, find something to eat, he eat, he drink him something, and he go to sleep. What do you do? This great big old universe out here, and all you can think about is going to get you something, go find you something to get you something to eat, get you a place to stay, get you some food, clothes, and shelter, and go to sleep. I can't settle for that. I'm not going to settle for that. I have my thoughts on how we can terraform planets, and it ain't hard. I even have my thoughts on how we can move them. I sure do. I mean, the Earth ain't the only planet that could be moved. You know when you look at the Earth's orbit around the sun, it could be a whole bunch of planets in that same orbit. It ain't got to be one. That's just your thinking. There's more than one car on the freeway. And they ain't bumping into each other. If I don't know, all these cell phones on there, they're doing some everything. But anyway, there's plenty of room for other planets to get in this Goldilocks zone, as they call it. And I mean, we could do a lot of things if we quit trying to kill each other. But you just can't get that in your head. You just got to go kill something. Well, I told you, you soon gonna be killing yourself. We about done got sick of you. Now, I can't wait on you forever. No. The scripture says, except those days be shortened, there would no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, for my sake, Allah say He gonna shorten the day. So you're gonna where's Sister Bob? Huh? Oh yeah, that's right. I forget. I tell people they can do something and then forget I told them. Well,
That's why you have another question from Mark Twain.
Yes, Mark.
And he says, you have been looking at our situation for almost 50 years. How many more years? Only the Father knows the day and time, right?
Well, then you answered your own question. Did you honestly think I would tell you the day of the end? Let me explain the Father to you. I will do that. I'm allowed to do that because the scripture says, no man knows the Father but the Son, and he to whom the Son will do what? Reveal him. So, I and my Father are one. As your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are one. Now, I'll put it to you like this. Haven't you ever noticed sometime you'll be feeling a little strange, and you say, I don't feel right. I must be coming down with something. Well, by the time it dawned on you that you're coming down with something, your autoimmune system already been working on the problem. Do you understand? Well, that's the way you can compare me and Allah, as is written that Allah is closer to the believer than their lifespan. There's nothing that goes on in your body that is unknown to the brain and that's over that body. It may be unknown to the conscious mind, but it ain't unknown to the subconscious and the immune system. The autoimmune system was designed at the right time to just go into action and start dealing with that invader, that little mischief maker there. Well, that's once that happens, it could happen in the next 5 minutes. And the conscious mind in me is not what's going to bring it about. It is the unconscious, the subconscious. That's the Father who will decide that's enough, and we will agree. That's why you always hear me say amen and amen. See? So you're talking about 50 years. It ain't been no 50 years. It's been 6,000 years that we've been working on this problem. Now it's been 6,000 and over 60 something years, almost 6,100 years. Actually, if you go from 1914 to 2014, 1914 was the end of your 6,000 years. Of course, at 12:01 a.m., it's a new day, but it's still dark. So now I'm hoping that you asking these questions to learn, because if you're mocking, I'm gonna pay you back that mockery later. But I don't, that's one of the reasons why I told people that I'm happy that I don't just at a whim tune up on people, because I may not like what you're thinking, and then I don't want to save you. So I would much rather not know what you're thinking and just go on and do my job. You see, but sometimes Allah let me tune up on you, and for He tune up on you and give me something to say, and you be thinking that it was did He read my mind? Well, in a way, yeah, I read your mind, because when Allah know it, He make me know it, and so it's like that. But I ain't here. I'm here with you just as afflicted as you. So I I'm not able to just at my own thought tune up on people, and I don't want to be able to, not right now. I like peace and quiet. Can you imagine walking around and hearing what everybody thinking? You'd get tired of that real quick. So I don't need to know what everybody else thinking. Allah knows. And so He give me words to say to you to let you know that He hear you and He see you. Do you understand? All right. So now let me go on and read this from this brother here. This is from this fellow named Jazir Kabir. He said, "The Son of Man." He left this quote from the Holy Quran, chapter 6, verse 159. And so I told brother, go there and quote the verse back to him. And invite him to come in and discuss it. But they don't understand. They just think they understand. You know, if any of them really, and even that now, I'm proving to you that they know that they don't understand. That's why they don't come in here and try to argue with me about me saying I'm the Mahdi. Because they know they ain't got no argument against me saying that I cannot knock down. I done already shared so much with them that I done took it away from them to even attempt to argue with me. So they disbelieve. That's why I was told to say to them, "Oh, disbeliever, I don't serve that which you serve, nor do you serve him whom I serve." You see? For you know, the messengers, each one of them was God. That's what people didn't understand. They were inspired to those revelations that they gave us. All scripture is given by inspiration of who? Yeah. But anyway, it says, as for those who split up their religion and became sects, you know, like Sunni and Shiite, Hanafi, like they do it in all the religions. They ain't just singling out them who call themselves Muslims. The Baptists, Methodists, Episcopal. Huh? See, the devil, he good at dividing. You know, that's his thing. Divide. Alexander the Great, that was his thing. You go up against a big army, split their forces, divide them, and then you can deal with them. You know, division is a shortcut to subtraction. Like in 300. I mean, y'all saw 300. Well, you know, anyway, 300 men was holding off a whole army because in order for that army to get to them, they had to come into a narrow place, and their numbers was immediately cut down to but so many at a time. And they're getting behind whooping so many at a time. So I don't have these people scared to put anything on TV after a while. It don't make no difference. You ain't never got putting nothing on there. I don't need you to teach me. You got what you got from me. Why you think it said the word was made flesh? Everything that was made by the truth. Now the truth has made itself into flesh and standing here talking to you. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. So it says, as for those who split up their religion and became sects, thou hast no concern with them. Their affair is only with who? Now you see, I'm the only one who can speak on it, and they don't say nothing to me. It's like I told the young men that thought they was fighting holy war, and I shared with them that there's nothing holy about shedding the blood of another human being. The minute you picked up that gun, the minute you picked up that bomb, you made that homemade bomb. The minute you had it in your mind to go and murder another human being, you left holy behind. You can't fix in your mind to say holy murder. You ever heard anybody use the term holy murder? Because the God who sent the Holy Scriptures, that was one of the first laws he gave to Moses to give to Israel. Thou shalt not kill. The Holy Quran says, and kill no, slay no soul. Kill no soul that Allah has not ordered to be killed. You say, well, it say right here, slay them where you find them. Well, and it says that to who? It's not talking about you. Because if you understood what a hypocrite is, you know that flesh and blood ain't never been a hypocrite. The flesh cannot be a hypocrite. The flesh is a slave to whatever mind takes up residence in it. So when you kill the flesh, you have slain an innocent. The hypocrite is the mind that's in that flesh. And the only way you can slay a mind is you got to have a greater one. You can't. If you put two chess masters of equal. I remember I was looking at Star Trek once, and Spock was playing chess with the computer, and they had lied and said Captain Kirk had killed somebody purposely, had murdered another officer, but he had been what you call framed, set up by the very man that they thought he had killed. And that man wasn't even dead. His name was Finney. Yeah, I looked at Star Trek. So the Spock came to the captain while he was, I think he was on trial for his life. And Spock, they wanted to know what he was doing. I forgot which one of them. It was Bones or Dr. McCoy or Captain Kirk. But anyway, he said, the captain on trial for his life and you here playing chess. And Spock said, I have won against the computer. He said, I've won several times now, several games now. And Dr. Bones said, I don't know where you won. Didn't you program it? He said, yes. He said, and the best I should have been able to get was a stalemate. But I've beat the computer several times now. That was his proof that somebody hadn't messed with the computer. And so, you know, when you're dealing with someone of equal knowledge, it's just like as long as white people taught you and me, we never could have overcome slavery. We never could have got out from under them. And unless you see, when a person taught you, they not only know what they know what you know, and they know what you don't know, if they was your sole teacher. And that's why a man like this fella here could get in front of you and like David Duke. Let me show you.
And so you have another question from Mark.
What is his question? Is he trying to stop me from teaching or what? What is it? What's the question now?
Did the first mind of God exist before God produced his brain?
Yes. I told you that before. You should have been paying attention instead of mocking me. Just as this material, you notice, what do they call the material that your brain is made out of? They call it gray and white matter. Just like you have for rain, you have gray and white clouds. You have oxygen and hydrogen clouds. And the mixing of them two brings down water. Whenever we get ready to bring something into being, our brain makes that happen. Be rain. And it is knowledge that enables us to bring things into being. And we use the term brain, be, and then rain behind it, instead of saying BERAIN. That's what truth is. With truth, anything you want to bring into existence, you can just say be, and it will be, because you know how to make it. Do you understand? Okay. And so just as the mind that's in us now, it didn't just all of a sudden appear. The mind that's in the black man created himself and made a house for himself. And then we took up residence in these bodies. Yeah, it may be hard for you to conceive. It ain't hard for me, because I'm the black man. So you are just like when Darwin was talking about evolution, and you run around here talking about man evolved from an ape. And, you didn't even have sense enough to realize that if man had evolved from apes, then there shouldn't be no apes now. And if there is some apes, you ought to see them evolving into man. But but that's not actually what Darwin was actually hitting at. That all higher forms of life evolved from a lower state. We did. You evolved from a life germ. If you had looked at, there came a time over man when he was nothing that could be mentioned. You see. But anyway, let's get back to this. I'm not finna get into philosophy with you. You better try to learn what I'm teaching you. That ain't gonna make you righteous. What is it, brother?
He says, isn't it true that God was unconscious of the darkness?
No, God ain't never been unconscious of anything. No. No, sir. That's like asking me, isn't it true that at one time matter didn't exist? God always exists. And first of all, darkness is something that we created. It's not something that existed on its own. In reality, there is no such thing as darkness. How can you have matter and be in the dark? The whole universe is just full of matter, which means it's full of light. The darkness is created by the way we formed our eyes. We formed the light and created darkness. The light of the body is the eye. We formed the eye and made it to be able to see on only certain spectrums of light. Therefore, we give the appearance of darkness. but it ain't really dark. Now, let's see here. See if I can find this liar here. See, a weak mind is what the devil plays on. It's just like that reverse discrimination thing, that the Baki case. And they knew the Negro couldn't defend against it. So that's where they come at him with. They wouldn't come at me with no foolishness like that. You know, but I don't want to get away from this subject here. Let me get on back to this. It says, their affair is only with Allah. Then he will inform them of what they did. You know, people like you sitting up out there thinking that you can ask me something that I don't know. You just living in a dream world. You ain't got no question to ask me that I don't know the answer to. Your mind ain't deep enough. It's like kindergarten sitting up calling themselves testing a college professor. You ain't got no test to give me. Thou shalt not test the Lord thy God. Because you wasting my time and yours too. So, don't you see the white man shut his mouth at me? He might be a white boy, but you don't hear no scientist of him coming in here call himself testing me. You should have known that when I called him the devil and he didn't say nothing. I bet you can't get up and go all on the internet talking about it like I do. You can't even, they can't even help you fake it. Because if I catch you out there, I'll set you down. So, see, I talk like that to show you that I can provoke people. They ain't coming. Yeah, we used to have to say, hey, humming, but they ain't coming. So, you know, it's nice to know yourself. I know myself now. So I told Brother Jamar to invite him to come in. And so I told him, I said, I agree with that. And I do agree with that verse. It says, and I would love to have you come in and discuss that verse that you quoted with me. You notice people who want to fake like they know something. You can take all the fakery out of it, just like people do in poker. You can only bluff your way for so long. Somebody gonna call you. He said, I see you and I call you. Okay, now you got to show what's in your hand. Right? And if you was bluffing, you just fold. Huh? And if you wasn't bluffing, you said, read it and weep, man. Huh? Right. You see, you think I'm standing up here putting my life on a bluff? I don't hear none of y'all putting your life on nothing you saying. That go for Farrakhan and all the rest of you. Why I always mention him? Because you the one always used to be trying to throw him up in my face. But you don't hear none of them talking like me. Some of y'all hate me so much, just like you hated the messenger. You hated Jesus. You hated Moses. And so they told me, you know, I'm called Son of Man. To those whom we have given the book, they recognize him as their what? They call me their son. They said, if the world hates you, you know it hated me before it did you. How I know that? Because when I quoted their word to you, you hated me for quoting it to you. So if you hated me, you had to hate him first. I told them what the messenger, I'll even let them hear the messenger say, ain't nobody coming behind me but God. Then why are they trying to point you to Farrakhan? The minister? He didn't say ain't nobody coming behind me but the minister. He said ain't nobody coming behind me but God. And he said, I better tell you that. So you didn't think I don't see you. I see every one of you. What is that odor? Somebody in the restroom? You know, like spray or something. I'm the only one smell that? A couple of y'all go back there and check our head and see if somebody making mischief. You know, in that box there. Take your light with you. Anyway, I want you to know that we're not teaching something that we have to run from. I'm not here to teach lies. And I'm not here to let people get away with teaching lies. If you wasn't ready to answer questions about what you teach, you shouldn't have been teaching it. Get those fans, will you?
Yes, sir. Mark is here now. I don't know if he's trying to throw an insult or what, but he's saying that he has more questions to ask, but he's got to call in.
Okay, well, he can call in now. I'm not trying to stop him from asking questions. You know, maybe he thinks he can argue. I'll let him come in and argue.
He's saying he wants to call in when you're on the sister show in Detroit when you don't have the power to eat.
Oh, no, we ain't going through no sister. You know, no, you the one that's fearful. And you know, if I had been on there today, I was going to tell her that from now on, when people have something that they want to say to me, and if they're going to talk about me, we ain't going to sit here and let them ramble on and on. You just let me deal with them and you just listen. No, you ain't finna put nobody between us so that you can lie and get a bunch of lies out to the people. That ain't finna happen. See, I know what y'all been up to. If I had been able to get to her today, I was gonna tell her today. This stuff about people coming in there just saying a bunch of stuff and then you stepping in the middle trying to answer for me, that ain't gonna happen no more. No. I don't let people who arguing or disagreeing with something I say, I don't let somebody else answer for me. I answer for me. Now, when they start talking about you, then you answer. But if they're talking about me, then what if what they just said about me is not true? Then why should I let them keep on talking? See, that's his problem. You see, I answer whatever people have to say to me. How many of y'all think that I be unjust when people come in here? Then what is he scared of? Yeah. I'll tell you what he's scared of. He heard me say I would let people that disagree with me come in here and host it, and I'll speak when they say I can speak. But he ain't got nothing to say. Not really. Because this is a scriptural discussion with the Son of Man. Not a dogs barking at each other. And I know I'm the only one who understands the Holy Scriptures. That's why they don't talk to me. Don't you know? Here, I done offered these people $20,000 in my life if they can show that I'm lying about something. Why we got to wait until Friday? Because, they thought they had found a way to get a bunch of stuff in on me through her. But I was planning to ask Brother Derek, what did I tell you last time I was finished talking with her? What did I tell you I was going to do? Is he there? Brother Jamar, what did I tell you?
Said that you were going to tell her that that wasn't going to happen anymore like that. And that you were going to have her get out of the way and talk directly to them.
Yes. I ain't going to let you put nobody in between me and you. What kind of coward is that? You want to jump behind the skirt of a woman. Nah, you heard him just now. But read what he said again.
He says, I'll call in when he is on that sister show in Detroit, when he does not have the power to be peace.
I'll call in when he's on that sister show in Detroit where he does not have the power to mute peace. When the last time you heard me mute somebody? I'll mute them all right. The minute I start asking them questions, they mute. Is that right? They don't want to answer nothing I ask them. When have I ever refused to answer a question that people ask me? That thing intact back there? All right. Jabril, set that air on. Still got hot in here. Whatever is on, set it down about 2 clicks. Now, I want to straighten out something that, I have great respect for soldiers. You cannot be a soldier without a degree of discipline. But I have no respect for a soldier who will follow orders blindly, that even his own conscience, I'm not going to let you order me to go and do something to, civilians that I wouldn't appreciate you doing to my loved ones, my civilian. You just don't do that. That's what got them dogs in Germany in trouble. I hope the Jews find every one of them. If they're still living, yeah, find him. You let somebody order you to march men, women, and babies into because you could. You slaughtered civilians simply because they were smarter than you. That's what it amounted to. Let me show you how people that would follow them kind of orders, how stupid they are. Now, if you are truly the superior Aryan race that you claim to be, why do you need to slaughter inferior people? Won't you just rule them? Because you're too stupid. Listen at this. STUPID. I mean, if you are truly superior, you don't need to slaughter inferior people. But you were in a position of advantage over those people. And you called yourself superior. And the mere fact that you were afraid of them was proof that there's nothing superior about you. Because a lion does not feel threatened by a dog. If he get hungry enough, he know the dog is that's dinner. Regardless of what the dog thinks. He could be a German Shepherd, a Doberman Pinscher, it don't make no difference. Pit bull, whatever, he'll be in the pit of that lion's stomach. Is that right? So I don't look at I mean, you can't just order me, not with the understanding I have now. That's why I was telling those young men, you notice most of the youngsters that was in the ISIS and all of that, they were in their 20s. Impressionable young men. That people who was in authority, people who knew that those young men had zeal, but they didn't have a lot of understanding of what Islam is. And then they could mislead them by quoting verses that sound like it's saying one thing, but it really was saying something else. Now, if I'm not the Mahdi, how come ain't none of them saying nothing to me? The people who's in leadership, how come they don't come in here and like men and confront me and question me in such a way to manifest to you that I'm not what I claim to be? Certainly, if you understand the prophecies about the coming of the rightly guided one, then you should be able to know if I'm rightly guided or not. If I wasn't rightly guided, it would be all types of people coming in here pointing out the errors. As the Holy Quran says, if it was not from Allah, you would have certainly found in it many discrepancies. And if I'm not the rightly guided one, how come you can't find no discrepancies in my teachings? So I'm telling all of you, don't let your ego bother you. Everybody know Donald Trump ain't put no stop to nothing. Just put them weapons down and go back home to your people and help your people in the way that Allah would like. Let us represent Islam for what it really is. Islam is the salvation. Islam is peace. Islam is entire submission to the will of Allah. And it is not Allah's will that any one of us should perish, but all of us need to repent. Be not conformed to this world and its filthy religions, but be you transformed by the renewing of your mind in these classes that I am now holding. Don't pay no attention to them who, it's just like this fella that made the false accusation about suggesting that I mute people. I didn't mute him. The thing is, he wants to be able to get behind a wall or a woman and take shots at me. But I'm not going to sit up and accept your insults anymore. And you done forgot something. When it comes to me, Miss what's her name? Miss Ramsey. Miss Ramsey don't control the Son of Man. Nobody controls me. What you think? I just have to sit there and let you insult me? You're out of your damn mind, boy. And I'm not going to sit there and let you insult me. So.
Man, do you want to hear his comments?
Beg your pardon?
Do you want to hear Mark Twain's comments?
Yeah, I don't care. I don't. You know that show you right there. He's scared. I'm standing up here talking. He pecking. You know, that's one of them trolls on the internet. That's all he is. The internet troll. You know, can't hold a civilized dialogue with another human being. That's what the computer age done reduced these people to. Go ahead. What he saying?
He said the Son of Man will never lose a live audio debate, but a text debate, I have a fair chance. The written word is the power. The written word is not even a word. The written word is nothing but signs that represent words. What written words are actually is sign language. You talking about that the Son of Man will always win. He don't even hear his own argument there. Read it again. Let me show you how he's not listening to his own self. The Son of Man will never lose a live audio debate.
The Son of Man will never lose a live audio debate. Well, how in the world you gonna win a written one if I don't lose and if I'm gonna lose and not gonna lose an audio, then it's impossible to lose a written one. Because all writing is a transferring of the audio. See, I told you that they dense. You know why he's so dense? It's because when you sitting down at a computer typing, that computer ain't arguing back with you. I remember when Bruce Lee was in that movie, Enter the Dragon. And the boy took a board and put it in front of him and pow, broke the board in Bruce Lee's face, and Bruce told him, he said, boards don't punch back. Typewriter keys don't type back. They don't talk back. That's how you deceive yourself. You delude yourself into thinking that you heavy. Like a person sitting up shadow boxing in a mirror. Talking about how pretty he looked. Did you see that? Hey, get out there and get knocked out. Man, all I've been doing for the past 40-something years is arguing with hard-headed people, trying to reach people
and saved their lives while they hated me. I mean, I've had people threaten to come up and snatch me off the stage. I got witnesses to that. Brother James, Brother Michael, did I run? Right there. You know, I mean, you can't come after my behind and leave yours at home. You got one too. You know, I mean, so I didn't have to go to the Marine Corps to learn not to be a coward. I wasn't no coward before I went in there. So they had something to work with when I got there. You know, because I told one of the DIs when he had me on my knuckles, I told him, when I was, you stand on your knuckles, man, on concrete, that hurts. And so I was down there. I did it as long as I could. And then I went to one knee and he said, get up, I'm going to kick a field goal. Get back up there. I'm going to kick a field goal in you. I said, I can't. And he said, I told you I can't. And I looked right up at him because we was finna get into it there. And he respected that. They don't want no cowards. What kind of man are you? Just let people do you any kind of way. Just your life ain't worth saving if you won't fight. The messenger said this: a coward Muslim is not a Muslim. We don't like fighting. I hate fighting. But that don't mean I won't fight. I just ain't gonna start nothing with you. If I can, I'll get out of it. But don't you put your hands on me. Yeah. So, and I'm gonna tell all of y'all something. When you are afraid, you should be afraid to attack another human being. There's nothing wrong with being afraid. If someone bullies you and you are afraid, that's a good thing. You can use that fear. But if they put their hands on you, they done already did what you were scared of, so ain't no sense being scared no more. Defend yourself. Maybe Allah intended to chastise them at your hands. And you have the element of surprise because a bully don't mess with nobody that he think will fight back. So you're going to shock him when you go upside that head. And don't hit him once. Roll some combinations on him. You understand? Yeah. Try to snatch his... anyway, let me leave that alone. Because I ain't up here to teach you to be fighting people. But I'm telling you, don't be letting people just do you any kind of way. That ain't gonna, they will keep on doing it. So, I mean, yeah, come on. He done already bore witness that I don't lose nothing. I won't lose no argument with nobody. He already done said I'm the greatest. How about it? All right, then shut up. All right, now let's go on and.
You want to hear some more?
I provoked that, so I got to listen. Yeah. What did Mark have to say now? You got to talk into the mic.
Don't worry about it. That's just this because of abuse of power. You mute and ignore. Read my comment. Which words do? And he said it's called liable or condemnation. Allah taught man with the pen.
No, liable. It's not liable. It's called libel. Libel is when you say things about people in print. When you put something in print about, especially people who are have notoriety with their name or whatnot. If you damage their reputation by something you wrote that you cannot prove, they can sue you for libel. If you speak something about people, about a famous person especially, that where you harm their reputation, especially if they are a celebrity or something like that, and you harm their reputation by something that you said and spreaded it out in the public, and you can't prove that it's true, they can sue you for slander. You see, I don't know why you would even bring that up. I mean, that's something that I could, I can warn all of you all if I wanted to. There's people that said things about me that if I wanted to, I could sue them. And I'd win. Like with me, I don't say things about people that I can't prove. You may think I'm saying something I can't prove. I can prove what I say. Yeah. So you quit while you're ahead. Anyway, now let's get on back. And you done wasted enough of my time. Now you be quiet. Now let's go on and get into this. I want to show you some of the things that some of the games that these weak-minded racists try to run on us because they made our minds weaker than theirs. So.
Is it fair to call you a white narcissist?
Absolutely not. In fact, every day of my life, practically in my radio program and millions and millions of words, I've always condemned any sort of racial supremacism or racial oppression of any kind. I certainly believe that it's certainly valid for European Americans to be concerned about their interests the same way that African Americans are concerned about their.
Now, listen to him trying to flip the script now. Now, here, this man was the grand wizard at one time, I was told, of the KKK. Standing up there now talking about he don't believe in racism. I mean, if he's going to be honest, he might say, well, no more. Is that right? I don't believe in it no more. Huh? But now, now just listen to this.
Particular interests are Mexican Americans have La Raza. There are thousands of organizations that stand up for the interests of the Jewish people, not only in America but worldwide, in the state of Israel. They're not called supremacists, and I don't believe in any sort of supremacy. I believe in the right of all people to have their human rights and also to be able to preserve their unique expression of humanity. And I believe America is an overwhelmingly European American country, and I think that there is racism in this country, but I think that
he believes that America is an overwhelming European country. Is he aware that this is North America? I mean, you know, you're not on the continent of Europe. You're on the continent of North America. And you know what? We're supposed to just forget how you got here. We're supposed to forget that you do believe in racism? Because now you say you don't, right? I mean, I wish I could get it. You try your best to get David Duke to come in here and have a conversation with me. He wants the right of the European Why don't he say the right of the American white man? I mean, because actually, I don't really hear most American white people calling themselves Europeans. I didn't hear you. Do you? They left there. Now they refer to themselves as Americans. Of course, Hitler talked like that. Aryan race and in the first place, let me tell you this. Do you know what the bottomless pit that the devil was loosed out of? I mean, you remember the book said that the angel came down with the key of the bottomless pit, and Satan was to be loosed for a little season. You see? You know what bottomless means? You've been, when I was out in the world, they had topless clubs and they had new club, bottomless, What? Well, bottomless also means there's nothing too low, nothing, no cutoff point. When you was a caveman, you was a bottomless. You was in a bottomless pit there in Europe. The caveman was actually walking around naked and I mean, he was living on the level of a beast. And nature accommodated him with hair all over his body and all that kind of thing. And, he was living a ape-like existence. So in that sense, he did evolve from an ape-like condition. He never been no ape, but he evolved from an ape-like state. Now, if he want to come in here and argue that, he's welcome to come on. But now, when you start playing on words like he doing there, he talking to the weak-minded. He know most black people don't know how to deal with what he's saying. He done reinvented his racism now. And just listen.
There's a massive racism going on against European Americans in America. I think that we see
a massive racism going on against European Americans, and watch who he say doing it to them.
I believe the media has a lot of hate propaganda. European.
Who controls the media? Well, how is white people practicing racism on white people? I mean, here this man is that's a classic moronic statement. That's like saying black people practicing racism on black people. No, black people ain't practicing racism on black people. What black people are doing is displaying the effect of the white racism that was done to us, that most of us have yet to overcome. You see, a black man, in order to practice racism, you have to be in charge. You can't practice racism if you are in control. If you're not in control of the government and ain't in control of the state, you can't practice nothing. But what them who in control let you do. And if they letting you do it, you ain't practicing nothing. You are, by the permission of whoever in charge, doing what you doing. When they get tired of it, they put a stop to you. See? He's a liar and the father of it. You see how he done reinvented himself? At least tried to reinvent himself. And this, I would tell them how long the Holy Quran said they'd be doing this stuff, but I ain't. You don't tell them nothing. You know, you ain't doing nothing that we didn't know you was gonna do. So we there's a set time out for you, and it's almost up. So I told you, you better hurry up and make up your mind to submit or not. The judgment gonna come down on you pretty soon. All right. Now don't say I didn't warn you. Now let's see here. I want to show you some other things.
Good evening once again from our NBC News headquarters here in New York. This was day 273 of the Trump administration. And on this one day, the president's chief of staff, retired Marine four-star General John Kelly, did something he abhors. He talked publicly about his dead son as a Gold Star father, and so did a service to Donald Trump. Also on this day, former President George W. Bush, 43, did something he abhors. He criticized a sitting president, not by name, mind you, but the association was crystal clear. This is now the fourth day in a row that we have spoken on this broadcast about the most sacred of presidential tasks, communicating with Gold Star families after the death of a member of our armed forces. It was a sacred topic and should be and will again, but it's been publicly cheapened to an obscene degree these past few days because of the president's own comparison initially to his predecessors, and now he is alleged to have spoken with a military widow. More on that in a moment. That's what brought General Kelly into the briefing room today, a man who looked like he'd rather be 100 other places. He went there to talk about something intensely private to him, the death of his son, First Lieutenant Robert Michael Kelly, died in 2010 in Afghanistan after stepping on a landmine. He was 29 years old. Kelly said he wants Americans to know what it means to be a Gold Star parent, and he started in a dark and clinical place. He started by talking about what happens when a member of the military is killed.
Your buddies, wrap them up in whatever passes of the shroud, puts them on a helicopter as a routine, and sends them home. Their first stop along the way is when they're packed in ice, typically at the airhead, and then they're flown to usually Europe, where they're then packed in ice again and flown to Dover Air Force Base, where Dover takes care of the remains, embalms them, meticulously dresses them in their uniform with the medals that they've earned, the emblems of their service, and then puts them on another airplane linked up with a casualty officer escort that takes them home.
The general continued, again, hoping to put an end to political conversations involving Gold Star families. The conversations the president started earlier this week. He was asked Tuesday why he hadn't heard from, we hadn't heard from him yet about these 4 U.S. soldiers killed in Niger in Africa. And he answered by questioning whether his predecessors called the families of the men and women killed in action during their time. Today, Kelly continued to talk about his son. He tried to protect something our nation has always held sacred, the sacrifice made on the battlefield.
If you elect to call a family like this, it is about the most difficult thing you could imagine. There's no perfect way to make that phone call. When I took this job and talked to President Trump about how to do it, my first recommendation was he not do it. Because it's not the phone call that parents, family members are looking forward to. It's nice to do, in my opinion, in any event. He asked me about previous presidents, and I said, I can tell you that President Obama, who
See, if you're not listening carefully, you would not have caught what he just said. He recommended that President Trump not do it. But he also said it would be nice to do. Why did he say President Trump shouldn't do it then? Because he knew that that man don't know nothing about empathy. That man don't feel nothing. Even when he was reading what he had to say about what these calamities, this stuff that happened in Puerto Rico, when he read it, his heart wasn't in that. And what about Harvey in Texas and whatnot? That man ain't feel nothing. Here's a man that when he was asked, let me show you something here. In order to empathize with people, you have to have some love for people in your heart. He that claims to love God and hates his brother is a liar, and the truth is not in him. Well, how can you say you love God whom you have not seen and you hate your brother that you walk with every day? Now, just a moment. I want you to really understand that you done put the fox in charge of the chicken coop. And if you're wondering why your chicken's coming up missing and something ain't right, well, you got the wrong one. I never did really think about that Goldilocks, not Goldilocks, Little Red Riding Hood. She couldn't understand that her grandmama was a wolf. The wolf done replaced the grandmama. Is that right? You know, but you know that was a full of allegory. When that can be applied to just about every aspect of life when you understand that story and the moral of it. Just because someone is in your grandmother's place or in your father's place or whatnot, and they are given guardianship, that don't mean that they are the real deal. Their eyes might be too big. Huh? Their nose might be too big. Huh? What that mean? You know that you know how people say you're nosy? Or their eyes, everything they see, they want. Selfish. You know? And then say, well, what big teeth you have? The better to do what with? To eat you. Huh? Well, inwardly they are, you know what ravening means? It means greedy, hungry, ready to eat you up. You got a wolf in the White House. And I know you don't believe it. You ain't never got to believe it. But he eating on you now. Now, you just wait. I'm going to show you something here. Now, here he's trying to defend. It's a general, a Marine Corps general. Listen to what he said about advising the president not to call. Why? And then right after that, he said it'd be a nice thing to do, though. Listen.
If you elect to call a family like this, it is about the most difficult thing you could imagine. There's no perfect way to make that phone call. When I took this job and talked to President Trump about how to do it, my first recommendation was he not do it.
He, you know, I mean, I don't want to get the poor man in trouble, but he done got himself in trouble. You know, just you know, it's the most difficult thing to do. And I advise President Trump not to do it. Because let me tell you something, when somebody done lost their loved one, and we ain't even in an official war. I mean, that when people was dying in Vietnam, Vietnam was a war of sort. It was, you know, at least everybody knew it was going on over there. Didn't nobody know nothing about what was going on in Niger or Niger, as they say. It tells you something about who named it. The French. But anyway, now your son done got killed someplace where you didn't even know ain't no war been declared. Certainly you got to call the parents and the wife and the family and let them know what he was doing. I mean, what you got to express something to them. It's not like everybody is expecting somebody's to come home. They was over there in an advisory. At least that's what we were told. That's what they've been telling. And they was over there just advising and training people. Huh? So they wasn't really in war. Now he advised the president not to call. He knew something about him, huh? No, just listen.
Trump about how to do it. My first recommendation was he not do it. Because it's not the phone call that parents, family members are looking forward to. It's nice to do, in my opinion, in any event. He asked me about previous presidents, and I said I can tell you that President Obama, who was my commander-in-chief when I was on active duty, did not call my family. That was not a criticism. That was just to simply say, I don't believe President Obama called. That's not a negative thing. Let me tell you.
Now, they trying to, you can't equate Afghanistan to Niger. Because everybody knew it was soldiers over, you know, soldiers and Marines over in Afghanistan dying every day. So everybody knew that. No, the president not going to call every time somebody get killed over there. He wouldn't have time to do nothing but that. But when something happens, like what happened in Benghazi and that kind of thing, when you lose a few people that really is not in a real war zone, then it is customary for the commander-in-chief of the armed forces to call the family and offer his condolences and some kind of explanation, and try to console the family of those people. But trying to connect that to Afghanistan, you can't do that. Only if the people that's listening are ignorant. Any of you that disagree with me, unmute your phone and tell me I'm wrong. And stay on the line. You think President Bush, when those 4,000 people that got killed in Iraq, do you think every time somebody got killed there, he was calling the families of people? No, the military took care of that. Because it was war. Everybody already knew that they may get a notice anytime. The families of those men and women that was there, they knew they could get notified at any time, and it wasn't going to be from the president. You might get a letter, maybe, but you're not going to get no call every time somebody passed or somebody is slain or in the line of duty there in a war. You're not going to expect the president to stop everything and call every family. No. But we ain't had no war in Niger. There's 4 men, 4 Green Berets got ambushed. Certainly the president's supposed to call the families. He had them over there. But anyway, I watched it.
My best friend, Joe Dunford, told me, because he was my casualty officer. He said, Kel, he was doing exactly what he wanted to do when he was killed. He knew what he was getting into by joining that 1%. He knew what the possibilities were because we're at war. And when he died, in the 4 cases we're talking about, and I assured my son's case in Afghanistan, when he died, he was surrounded by the best men on this earth, his friends. That's what the president tried to say to 4 families the other day.
The problem is he had a president that is not a politician. He does not know anything about diplomacy. All he knows is being the CEO of his own company, where he didn't answer to nobody. Anytime, it wasn't about him pleasing others. It was about others pleasing him. And that's all he knew. That's all he knows. And this is a man that ain't never asked God for no forgiveness for nothing. Wait a minute. I likes to I like to show you the truth of what I say. I don't just say things. So we'll let you see it for yourself.
I have nothing to do with Russia. Donald Trump says he has never met Russian strongman Vladimir Putin and denies he has any business investments in Russia. Now check this out. Inside Edition encountered Trump in Russia. The year was 2013, and Trump was staging the Miss Universe contest.
No, wrong one. I'm sorry. Just a minute. Let me find the one that I was looking for here. There's lots of things. Here it is.
We've got people lined up for questions. I just got one more. You used the word Christian. Have you ever asked God for forgiveness? That's a tough question. I don't think in terms of, I'm a religious person. Shockingly, because people are so shocked when they find this out. I'm Protestant. I'm Presbyterian. And I go to church and I love God and I love my church. And Norman Vincent Peale, the great Norman Vincent Peale was my pastor. The power of positive thinking. Everybody's heard of Norman Vincent Peale. He was so.
Now you see why the scripture says, how can you say you love God whom you have not seen, and you hate your brother that you walk with daily? Now he claimed to believe in God, right? Now watch. Now the man asked him, has he ever asked God for forgiveness, right? Now.
He would give a sermon. You never wanted to leave. Sometimes we have sermons, and every once in a while we think about leaving a little early, right, even though we're Christian. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, Frank, would give a sermon, would give us.
Why did they laugh when they say we have a sermon and we think about leaving a little bit early? What was funny about that? It's only funny if church don't really mean nothing to you. Just listen.
Sermon. I'm telling you, I still remember his sermons. It was unbelievable. And what he would do is he'd bring real life situations, modern day situations into the sermon. And you could listen to him all day long. When you left the church, you were disappointed that it was over. He was the greatest guy. And then, he passed away, but he was a great. He wrote The Power of Positive Thinking, which is a great book.
But have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
I'm not sure I have. I just go on and try and do a better job from there. I don't think so. I think if I do something wrong, I think I just try and make it right. I don't bring God into that picture. I don't. Now, when I take, when we go in church and what.
You know why he got away with saying that? It's because people that's listening to him didn't believe in God. In order to ask God for forgiveness, you have to feel like you have offended God. So if he never asked God for forgiveness, then what is he saying? He never sinned. He never did nothing that offend God. Is that what he's saying? You suppose racism offends God? You know it does. But, as he said, he never asked for no forgiveness. Now, if this man ain't never asked forgiveness for offending God, what make you think he kept out offending gold star families? You suppose he gonna ask their forgiveness? All right.
I drink my little wine, which is about the only wine I drink, and have my little cracker, I guess.
Now you see he making fun of communion. And he read the snake to him, didn't he? What? You knew what? When he said that about communion, one of the most sacred things in church, it says that if any man be hungry, let him eat and drink at home. For whosoever taketh of this cup and eateth this bread unworthily is guilty of the body and blood of our Lord. And they said Jesus Christ. Now he's sitting up there talking about I take the little, listen to how he describes communion.
Church, and when I drink my little wine, which is about the only wine I drink, and have my little cracker, I guess that's a form of asking for forgiveness, and I do that.
I guess that's a form of asking for forgiveness. Huh? That's not what communion is. I grew up in church. No, that's not. You, if you don't really believe, you ain't got no business taking that.
As often as possible because I feel cleansed, okay? But, to me, that's important. I do that. But in terms of officially, I could say.
And that's not a cleansing ritual either.
Communion is only supposed to be taken by true believers, not somebody seeking to be cleansed. Well, just
Absolutely, and everybody, I don't think in terms of that. I think in terms of let's go on and let's make it right. So let's, again, you've gone into it. If I don't ask this question, this audience will be disappointed. Straight question, what is your relationship with God? Well, I pray, I go to church, do I do things that are wrong? I guess so.
he have no relationship with God. You know what the book says, that all liars shall have their part in the lake that burneth with fire and brimstone. It ain't nobody that's listening to me that don't know Donald Trump is a habitual liar. You get mad all you want. I don't care. I ain't telling nothing but the truth. Now, and then see the problem with trying to defend a liar. You got to tell a lie to cover up for him. And that's what given the general problem. Now, watch this.
When I came to work yesterday morning, and brokenhearted at what I saw and remember Congress doing. As we're talking about Niger, my son's case in Afghanistan, when he died, he was surrounded by the best men on this earth, his friends. That's what the president tried to say to four families the other day. I was stunned when I came to work yesterday morning, and brokenhearted at what I saw and remember Congress doing. Remember Congress who listened in on a phone call from the President of the United States to a young wife, and in his way tried to express that opinion. He's a brave man.
If the member of Congress had not heard the conversation, then the member of Congress, now first he's trying to make it look like that the Congresswoman was out of order to listen to the conversation, that she was in the car with the people that she knew personally. And they put it on speaker for her. That's a mistake on his part. Whether he realizes it or not, the president cannot declare war any place by itself. Just for a limited time, Congress has to approve and declare that America's at war. Do you understand? Okay. So to say that a member of Congress don't have a right to listen in on the call of the president to someone who has lost a member of their family in war is ludicrous. But anyway, now he goes on to try to suggest that somehow, what if the Congress lady hadn't heard it and the mother came back and said, that was very disrespectful the way the president come telling me my son knew what he was getting into, and so in so many words, well, it's his own fault. I thought that was very disrespectful. Then if she had said that to somebody, he could have denied it, couldn't he? So Allah fixed it where someone else heard it. And everybody in the car heard it, obviously, or wherever they were.
I don't know if they was in a car or in a house or whatever, but it was on the speaker and everybody heard it. Beg your pardon? It was a car? Okay. Then everybody in the car was privy to that conversation. Now, here he wants to jump on the congresswoman and the mother for the president, whom he had already, as good as said, I don't think you do a good job on this. I don't think you better call. He said he advised him not to call, didn't he? You know, whenever you try to make something wrong seem right, the only way you can do that is to lie. You got to lie. Now here he's a general. Do you know what semper fidelis means? It means always faithful. Not faithful to presidents, faithful to the Constitution. Faithful to the principles that America's supposed to stand for, which is laid out in the Constitution. Do you know what you're doing when you show respect and honor for the loved ones of men who laid their life down because you asked them to? You are providing, you are creating a patriotic spirit in the families that make them feel that the loss of their loved one was not in vain. That they didn't, you say, didn't die on a humbug. You know, part of leading, it is not so bad to not know how to do something. It's a whole lot of things that many of us are not good at. Leadership involves knowing your limitations and knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses. And if he cannot, since he knows he's not a people person, well, no, he don't know that, because he done surrounded himself with yes men all of his life and people who kiss his behind to get along with him. And so he thinks he's all right with people. And most of them grin up in his face and talk about him behind his back. Just like his, some of them in the cabinet, Mr. Tillerson called him a moron. But, he get in his, he get with him, and that's the kind of life he done had. People around him that go along to get along. So he never learned to develop his humanity. So he never learned, like he said, he never said he was sorry to nobody. As though he's never offended people. So when he offends people, he does not care. Because if you don't have lots of money, you ain't do much to him no way. And if you do have lots of money and he do something that offend you, he don't care, because he just as rich as you. That's what he says. So I ain't got to say I'm sorry to nobody. That's what obviously that's how he feels. And a man like that, the general told him, right, you shouldn't call. But to try to come out there and attack someone for reacting to a disrespectful phone call from someone who should be offering you condolences and comfort, he comes in there like a bull in a china shop, talking to the wife of a man who is she pregnant with the young man's child and got other children. And he come in there talking about he knew what he was getting into, and in so many words. That's not how you talk to them, to those people. But what do you expect from a man who does not have any relationship with God? If he was a regular churchgoer, if he not even regular, just once a month, if you listening to sermons and whatnot, everybody knows it ain't 2 Corinthians. It's 2 Corinthians. Everybody who been in church for any amount of time, you don't have to be no real regular goer. Just every now and then, and you hear preachers explaining scriptures and telling you to go and read 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, and that kind of thing. But no, man ain't paying no religion, no attention. You can tell that by the way he treats other people. And you know, he fooled a lot of people. I'm going to show you how. But the first thing is, you know, I never understood why people supported him until I saw a certain interview. And I mean, he really sounded like he was about something. It was all just a art of the deal. But anyway, just let's listen to him some more. Embarrassing himself and don't know it.
Fallen hero. It stuns me that a member of Congress would have listened in on that conversation. Absolutely stuns me. And I thought at least that was sacred. The only thing I could do to collect my thoughts was to go and walk among the finest men and women on this earth. And you can always find them, because they're in Arlington National Cemetery. Went over there for an hour and a half. Walked among the stones, some of whom I put there, because they were doing what I told them to do when they were killed. And I appealed to America that let's not let this meet.
Even when he said he went and walked among some of the finest men and women on this earth, and he talks about a cemetery, which is basically what, General, that's basically what you walking amongst in the White House now. People who have about as much human feeling as a dead man. And you there trying to defend them. In Arlington Cemetery, those young men and women that died in there, some of them are black. Some of them are Spanish Americans. They're of all ethnicities. Do you know how hollow your words sound while you there trying to defend the racism of a man who really have no business being president? How can you in good conscience put a man over your sons and daughters and give him the power to order them to go and lay their lives down when you know deep down he has no respect for them?
And how can you think that a man has no respect for God cares anything about you? If a man does not think enough of God to know something about God's word, then how can you hope that he somehow would love and respect you? God is love. That means that without God in your heart first, there can be no love there. Uh, it's sad that you you allow yourself to be manipulated by your hatred. And then what's even sadder is that if you really thought that you had a real basis to hate me, you would have been in here a long time ago and expressed why you hate me. You don't know why you hate me yourself. Yeah, I tell you why you hate me. It's because you hate righteousness. You hate right. You've been doing wrong and seemingly getting away with it for so long. I said seemingly getting away with it for so long. It's not that you done got away with anything. That's why the scripture call you a fugitive. It says a fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. A fugitive is somebody who done did wrong and ain't got caught up with it, and they ain't been brought to justice yet. You see? I mean, here, like that, when David Duke was talking about Europeans, and he on the American continent, but out of his own mouth acknowledging that this ain't his home. Did you hear me? And he here arguing for Europeans on the continent of North America, as though he got some rights here. I mean, you really don't hear yourself. Anyway, now the poor general, now he done stepped in it and attacking the victims of the president, trying to defend what he advised the president not to do in the first place. Didn't he advise him not to call? And it wasn't because he didn't think it should be done. For he said it would be it would be nice to do. But he knew that this man didn't have it in him to show empathy for such a solemn occasion. He's bound to say something disrespectful. Which brings us right back to that other senator, congressman, I should say, that whether he's a senator or a House or a representative in the House, he said the Oval Office has been turned into a daycare center. You got a man who does not understand the magnitude of the office that he is in. And every time he acts and every time he opens his mouth, he is manifesting that he does not understand the awesomeness of the title President of the United States. The President of the United States is supposed to be the embodiment as much as possible of the best of what America is. He's supposed to exemplify that. When who does not know the power of the United States Armed Forces? What nation on this earth does not know the power of America's armed forces? They already know you got a big stick. That's why President Roosevelt had that saying, speak softly. You don't have to holler and hoop at people. Because the American people and gave you a big stick, man. You got a arsenal that is second to none. So you don't have to go around beating on your chest. Other people do that for you. Show the people that not only do you have an arsenal, but you have wisdom with it. But no, this man don't even know how to show gratitude to his own military. And then he puts a general, that man ain't had no business having to come out there and try to clean up nothing for him. Then he does it out of misplaced loyalty. And then manifest that there's something in him. And when you said, when I was in boot camp, they told us when we got off that bus, ain't no black, ain't no white, everybody green here. Well, we found out that some of them at the top don't feel that way. If that had been a Caucasian family, do you suppose he would have been calling and the Congress lady had been white? Do you suppose he would have spoke like that about her? But just listen.
Last thing that's held sacred in our society. A young man, young woman going out and giving his or her life for our country. Let's try to somehow keep that sacred. Our lead-off panel tonight, Robert Costa, national political reporter for the Washington Post, moderator of Washington Week on PBS. Jeremy Peters, New York Times political reporter and an MSNBC contributor. And Eugene Robinson, here with us in New York, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist for the Washington Post. Eugene, I watched your coverage in the moment with Nicole Wallace this afternoon, and I still want to ask you, what was that that we witnessed? Was that one event? Was it 5 different concurrent events?
It was a man coming out to speak in 3 different roles at the same time. He spoke as the White House Chief of Staff, he spoke as a 4-star general, and he spoke as a grieving father. The vividness of his description of what happens when a member of the armed forces is killed in action, that's shipping the body home, packed in ice. It's unforgettable, searing, and deeply moving. With the removal of a few hours, which I guess these days is like a few months, right? Because as long as we get to sort of ruminate on the news cycle, I'm struck by a couple of things that Donald Kelly actually didn't say. He actually didn't say, for example, that any of the reports of what President Trump said in that conversation were wrong. He seemed to indicate they were right. And second, he didn't indicate that he really had much of an understanding of why Congresswoman Federica Wilson was there at the time of the phone call. She had known this family for decades.
She was there because Allah wanted her to be there so that she could speak up about it. Do you not understand what time you living in? Do you not see that everything that everybody doing is coming out? There's nothing secret that shall not be made manifest. When the judgment is brought down on the world, the only cry you gonna have is that surely we was wrongdoers. Ain't nobody gonna be able to say that they don't know why they getting what they getting. Oh yeah, you gonna know why. You're being made to know why now. Here a man acknowledges that I'll show you an example. This fella acknowledged that he knows that I would never lose a vocal argument. Then why try to come in there and argue with me at all? And it's not because I mute you. It's because I speak the truth and you don't have any. There is no defense against the truth. If the truth is against you, then the best thing you can do is submit and change. Because the truth is not going to change. When you walk outside naked in the daytime, you're not going, the light is not going to turn into darkness because you are naked. You better get your behind on back in there and put some clothes on. Because the light gonna keep on shining on you. Whether you naked or clothed, everybody is going to see you. Now here they trying to dress it up a little bit, but ain't nothing you can dress up about do you know what the duty of the military is? It is to protect the country, not attack your own citizens. When you have militaries that attack their own citizens, that's what you accused Gaddafi of. And they created a no-fly zone because he was supposedly bombing his own people. And they said, we can't stand by and watch you do that to your own people when they the ones whose tax money, whose revenues gave you them airplanes and stuff. Now you using your strength against the people who gave it to you. That's wrong. I'm going to let you hear what a little more of this, and then I'm going to let you hear something else.
Principal of the school that was David Johnson's father attended. He was in a mentoring program that she ran. She was a very close friend of the family, which had called on her in a time of grief, and she was there to be supportive, as was the woman who had raised David Johnson, Sergeant Johnson, as his mother, raised him like a son. They were there. The phone call, as I understand, was on speaker, which sound appropriate as the President of the United States called it, so it's an occasion, it's a moment. And they were appalled at what they heard. Now, rightly or wrongly, they were, and it wasn't intended to deepen Maisha Johnson's grief, the widow, but clearly it did. And he didn't, General Kelly didn't seem to quite understand that entire story.
By the way, Maisha Johnson, we should repeat, 24 years old, now the mother of 2 little children, 3 months away from having their 3rd child. Robert Costa, I want to put something up on the screen. The president has been back on Twitter in just the last few minutes. The fake news is going crazy with wacky Congresswoman Wilson, who was secretly on a very personal call and gave a total lie on content. Robert, it was speculated today that part of General Kelly's message was aimed through the door, back around the hall, turn left to the Oval Office. But clearly from this, it was not the end of the topic.
That's right, Brian. I think Gene said it well in the sense that General Kelly did not contest the actual exchange between the president and the family, and that was heard by the Congresswoman. And he railed against, in a broad way, the politicization of these kind of experiences and interactions. And that was the critique that General Kelly made, rather than something about the content of that.
General Kelly had already, whether he knew it or not, he had already corroborated that he knew Donald Trump wasn't going to handle that well when he said he advised him not to call. Then why you want to get out there and show all that indignation when he called against your advice and messed it up? Because he really didn't care. Look, if you really care about people, there is no mistaking that. And if you really don't care, there is no faking that. Not for somebody who's void of the human values that most of us tout who grew up in America. That man don't know. He does not value human beings as human beings. He sees human beings as pawns, as useful to help him attain what he wants. He's a user. If he don't have no utility for you, he don't have no use for you. He just says things like any hustler to get a reaction, to get you to do what he wants you to do. It ain't about him caring for you. He's the kind of person who will laugh with you and put on a real and then you walk away, take about 8-10 steps, you look back and you see the smile is gone from his face. It is anyway, the general, he did his own self a disservice, and he did the Marine Corps a disservice too. You know that he should be a better man than that. But I'm gonna let somebody else explain him that grew up with him.
Can't wait. Thank you, Rachel. The White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, had a job to do today. Take the heat off the president for getting into trouble for something that no president before him has gotten into trouble for. Donald Trump made a mess with a condolence phone call to the widow of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, who was killed 2 weeks ago in Niger.
Today, John Kelly made just as much of a mess in his attempt to clean up Donald Trump's mess. All indications are that the president made that condolence call only after feeling the public pressure of a press conference where he was asked why he had been silent for almost 2 weeks about the death of Sergeant Johnson and 3 other Army sergeants in Niger: Staff Sergeant Brian Black, Staff Sergeant Jeremiah Johnson, Staff Sergeant Dustin Wright. In the 12 days between the time those soldiers were killed in action and the president was first asked about them, the president found plenty of time to tweet his moral outrage at football players. And he found time to tweet his outrage at Republican senators, especially Bob Corker, who publicly defended Secretary of State Rex Tillerson after Tillerson was publicly quoted as calling his boss, the President of the United States, a moron. It was only when the news media publicly challenged the president in the Rose Garden the other day for not acknowledging the deaths of those soldiers in any way that the president made the phone call that got him in trouble. Congresswoman Frederica Wilson, a friend of the family who was present during the call, quoted the president as saying he knew what he was signing up for, but I guess it hurts anyway. It wasn't just Congresswoman Wilson who thought that was an insensitive comment. Sergeant G.
And that's why the general, I mean, he gave him good advice not to call. In other words, the general didn't think he needed to hold his hand and tell him, assign that to someone who is knows something about diplomacy and can. He assumed the man understood, since he claimed to be so knowledgeable of leading, that he understood that, okay, I'll get somebody to call that can put the right words out there and comfort the family. And he talks to the widow and the family like he's talking to another soldier. The general told him what another soldier said to him, is that he knew what he was getting into and he knew so and so. Yes, a Marine would talk to another Marine like that. Because that, I mean, we know, you know, if when I was in the military, if something happened, we all knew we volunteered. It wasn't no thing where we got drafted. We volunteered. So, you know, it's understood that we knew that when we was over there that, you know, just as you killing people, they trying to kill you too. So, and they're going to succeed sometimes. So that comes with the territory. And so when you say that to a fellow Marine, you say that to a fellow soldier, those are words of comfort and you know, realization that brings it home. Say, yeah, man, because, you know, I could be next. Any one of us could be next. Right? But you don't talk like that to civilians. He goes out there and quotes what one Marine said to another, and he quotes that to civilians. And then the general, instead of just leaving it alone, now he want to attack the family for Trump. He want to attack the family and the congresswoman who is the friend of the family, as though they didn't have no business saying nothing. You know, that's the way we've been treated in this country for a long time. You mess over us, and then if we dare to speak out and say we don't like it, it's just like what thing they did on the Nation of Islam, talking about the hate that hate produced. They called the Nation of Islam doctrine hate teaching. Yet they never called the the documentaries where the Jewish people are reciting the history of what happened to them under Adolf Hitler, they don't call that the hate that hate produced. Now, I don't, like I told you, I'm getting tired of you disrespecting us like that. Now, don't you know that it's something different about me by now? Do you not see how I see into things that you miss? Did you understand what I understood when I looked at that? Did you understand that? Any of you that's listening, how many of y'all heard what I heard and gleaned out of that what I gleaned out of it? The reason you didn't is because you got what they gave you. I have what Allah gave me. That's why that song is so relevant, where it says, "Do you see what I see?" Said the little lamb to the shepherd boy. Do you hear what I hear? None of you see what I see and hear what I hear. That's one of the reasons why myself and the prophets of God, they are called sheep. And I'm called the lamb of them. I'm the lamb of God. And they are the ewes, not Jews, ewes. You see? And they gave birth to the mind that's in me. What do you call it when a woman gives birth? She goes to what room? The delivery room? Well, every messenger of God delivered the message. And once they delivered the message, it was just a matter of once the message been delivered, the baby been delivered. Now the baby got to grow into the flesh. You see? Now the baby's in flesh now. So now listen to this. I mean, Lawrence O'Donnell, he made a very good critique, and it was right on. And I tell you something else. If you know what's good for you, you stay out of his face too. If the truth is against you, I suggest you correct yourself. Not try to make it hard for somebody who just shared the truth to you. You ain't gonna be sleeping after a while.
Johnson's mother then told the Washington Post, President Trump did disrespect my son and my daughter and also me and my husband. And so, former Marine General John Kelly went into the White House press briefing room today to fix Donald Trump's problem, the recurring problem of appearing to have no empathy, the problem of being unable, publicly at least, to express any real sympathy for anyone except himself. And so John Kelly delivered a powerful public demonstration of real human feeling, including the horror of his own loss of a son in combat in Afghanistan, a loss that John Kelly bears with dignity, grace, and courage, including the courage it takes to get through another day with the full knowledge that his other son is still in harm's way, serving a fifth tour of duty in combat against ISIS right now. Few among us have the strength to bear what General Kelly and his family have to bear every day.
General Kelly's comments today moved people in a way that nothing Donald Trump has ever said in his life could ever move anyone. General Kelly did some of what he was supposed to do today. He did demonstrate empathy, but not for anyone who is not like him. His empathy was isolated to military families only, and in particular to Gold Star families, to families who have lost a soldier in combat like the Kelly family. He showed no empathy at all for her. He talked about her a lot. He talked about her more than he talked about the president or his sons, and he never mentioned her name. He called her an empty barrel. He dehumanized her. In fact, from start to finish, John Kelly's comments in the briefing room today were essentially a lecture about his moral superiority over her and Donald Trump's moral superiority over her. If there is anything that John Kelly respects about her, he did not mention it today. Today, she was nothing but an empty barrel to him. That's Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. She wears hats to honor her grandmother. That's why she wears them. She wants to keep her grandmother in her mind all the time. She was the first to publicize the president's phone call to Sergeant Johnson's widow. John Kelly had absolutely no empathy for Frederica Wilson today. But they have more in common than John Kelly realizes. They were both born in segregated cities. They both went to segregated schools. Frederica Wilson was born in Miami in 1942. When she was going to school in Florida, the schools were segregated by law. When John Kelly was going to school in Oak Square in Brighton, in the Boston Irish neighborhood that he grew up in, the schools were segregated by custom and practice. And Boston's segregation in the 1950s, when John Kelly was in school, was as flawless as the legal segregation in Florida and the rest of the South. John Kelly never sat beside a student like Frederica Wilson in his elementary school. The language about black people in John Kelly's white neighborhood was exactly the same language about black people that was used at that time in white communities in the segregated South. I grew up a few years after John Kelly in an identical neighborhood on the other side of Boston, and I went to high school in John Kelly's neighborhood. I know the neighborhood John Kelly comes from. I know the culture. It was a neighborhood in which calling someone who looked like Frederica Wilson an empty barrel was the kindest thing that would have been said about her. Desegregation came very painfully to the Boston schools long after John Kelly finished high school. And the pain of desegregating Boston schools was visited entirely upon the students who looked like Frederica Wilson. And the stones that were thrown at their buses, and the eggs that were thrown at Ted Kennedy's car because he supported desegregation, all came from that culture that John Kelly and I grew up in. And no one was yelling empty barrel at those buses. White elementary school students and high school students and their parents were screaming the worst possible racial epithets at those buses filled with black children. And John Kelly knows that. Now, I didn't mind hearing John Kelly disagree with Congresswoman Wilson today. I understand some of the nature of his disagreement with her, and some of it is deeply personal for him as a Gold Star father. But I was stunned when I watched him dehumanize her and very deliberately continue to dehumanize her and refuse to give her the dignity of a name and call her an empty barrel. He went out of his way to do it. It came after he had said everything he had to say about the phone call controversy. He was finished with that. And then he reached back to a long story. He told a long story that took place in 2015, 2 years ago in Miami, when he attended the dedication of a new FBI field office in Miami, a field office that Congresswoman Wilson had helped get the money for. John Kelly went into a long story about honoring FBI agents who had been killed in the line of duty there, and he praised what he called the absolutely brilliant memorial speech that James Comey delivered at that event that day in Miami. That's how far out of the way he had to go to get to this. And a Congresswoman stood
stood up, and in the long tradition of empty barrels making the most noise, stood up there and all of that, and talked about how she was instrumental in getting the funding for that building. Now, she took care of her constituents because she got the money, and she just called up President Obama, and on that phone call, he gave the money, the $20 million to build a building. She sat down, and we were stunned. Stunned that she done it. Even for someone that is that empty about, we were stunned.
And if a black general or a black president had stood up and made that kind of comment about a white congressman or congresswoman because they stood up in a building where honor was being given and the building was funded and they helped get the funds, and they just let the people know that we helped get this funded so that this could be happening. And someone tried to condemn that congresswoman if she was white. They would have been condemning the one who tried to condemn her. You see, it's a lot of you all that like to say you're going to put the niggas back in their place. You don't realize what you're saying. You see, you putting the black people back in their place. You see where I'm at? You caused me to have to be here. Because when we put you in our place, you couldn't handle the job. All you did was wreck the earth. You done polluted all the oceans. It's plastic. It's more plastic in the ocean almost than it is water. They done polluted the air, polluted the oceans, just polluted the people. You know, they poisoning the people wholesale now. Yes, we're getting back in our place as the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, the God of the universe. And you gonna either change or you ain't gonna be here. And I ain't got to do nothing to you. You gonna do it to you. Then you will know that I'm the Lord. You done already seen little signs of it. You think you got everything? There's a song that says, Father Time, Mother Nature, Father Time. It says, you way on top now, and you're having a ball. You got the world on a string. You think you got everything, but you've got nothing at all. Because someday you'll wake up on the other side of the hill. And if Mother Nature don't stop you, Father Time will. You had 6,000 years to do what you're doing. And you were told by your maker that the Sabbath day shall be a holy day unto the Lord. In it, don't you do your work. You're still trying to work in my time, in my day. And I've been very merciful to you. I've been trying my best to give you a chance to wake up and realize that something going on here, and you had better correct yourself before it's too late. So even now, you want to fix it where we can't express displeasure on how you treat us.
without you call yourself going to bring some wrath down. You through bringing wrath on us. The great day of my wrath has come. And you just wait and see. It's written, for the great day of the Lamb of God's wrath has come, and who shall be able to stand? From now on, every time you come in here showing me any kind of disrespect just because I'm black, I'm going to cast you into hell. Because you know that the black man is the original man. You know that all people on the earth came out of the black man, which means you know that the black man is the father of all human beings. You will honor your father, or you not going to be on this earth. Now, ain't nobody trying to bully you. Ain't nobody trying to do nothing but get you to see that, look, we don't have to be at each other. We don't have to be trying to kill each other. We don't have to be disrespectful to each other. We can treat each other like we would like to be treated. Now, if that's too much to ask from you, well, then you can get off of our earth. Now,
that empty a barrel. And I was stunned that John Kelly would so callously echo the worst part of the culture that he and I grew up in. Stunned. John Kelly and I have gone our separate ways in the world from our very similar beginnings in Boston Irish neighborhoods. So we are stunned by different things. Here's more of what stuns John Kelly.
It stuns me that a member of Congress would have listened in on that conversation. Absolutely stuns me. And I thought at least that was sacred. You know, as a kid growing up, a lot of things were sacred in our country. Women were sacred. We looked upon with great honor. That's obviously not the case anymore, as we see from recent cases.
So John Kelly began to slip into a bit of a stream of consciousness about what was sacred when he was a kid growing up. You know what wasn't sacred when he was a kid growing up, where he was growing up? Black women or black people. And oh, by the way, women were not sacred either. They were not honored. In John Kelly's neighborhood, in the Catholic parish that he grew up in the Catholic parish that I grew up in, women were getting beaten by their husbands, their drunken husbands, as a normal weekly occurrence. And their parish priest would tell those women, you can't get divorced or you'll be excommunicated. You're just going to have to bear it. And bear it for the children. There's nothing you can do about it. Women were not honored. Most women then were domestic servants, and the women who had jobs outside of the home were not allowed to have most of the jobs in America at that time. They weren't allowed to work in most of the factories. They were not allowed to be police officers. There were huge barriers of entry for women who wanted to be doctors instead of nurses. Huge barriers to entry for women who wanted to be professors instead of elementary school teachers, which is how Frederica Wilson began her work life. She was an elementary school teacher. She then worked her way up to elementary school principal and then got elected to the school board. And that's how she created a mentorship program for students like LaDavid Johnson, who she got to know when he was one of the kids in the mentorship program that she created as a member of the school board. When Frederica Wilson was a little girl, there were no black women members of Congress for her to look up to and aspire to follow into that office. When John Kelly was a little boy, everywhere he looked in America, there was someone who looked like him at the top, including the President of the United States, who had the same initials as John F. Kelly, who showed 10-year-olds like John F. Kelly growing up in Boston that even a Boston Irish Catholic kid could make it all the way to the presidency. And so today, when John Kelly nostalgically looked back on a world that never was, where women were sacred,
He was standing in the White House occupied by the president who has not only dishonored women, he is the only president in history who has confessed to sexual assault. I'm just fishing that before the magnet. I don't do it. Hey, when you're started, I let you do it. You can do anything, whatever you want. Grab by the person. Was John Kelly stunned by that? Does John Kelly wash his hands after he shakes hands with Donald Trump? The hand that... John Kelly's stream of consciousness about the loss of what is sacred in our society continued.
Life, the dignity of life, is sacred. That's gone. Religion, that seems to be gone as well. Gold Star families, I think that left from the convention over the summer. I just thought the selfless devotion that brings a man or woman to die on the battlefield, I just thought that might be sacred.
So there's John Kelly saying the Gold Star families are not sacred anymore. And he says, I think that left in the convention over the summer. He seems to...
And I tell you something else. He misrepresented what happened to those 4 young men. They actually wasn't on a battlefield. They was in a Jeep, from what I was told, on their way to, and they got ambushed. They wasn't out there on patrol or nothing. Then he turned it into they was on the battlefield. You see, in order to cover up a liar, you have to lie. Never try to smooth over a lie for a liar. Because I don't know what his career had been like, but he just put some tarnish on it. That's the one thing that I have never been openly accused of by anybody. Is even when I was in the Marine Corps, when I was out there and I was militant, but I had my own style. There wasn't no thing about I'm gonna go beat up somebody because they white. No, man. Man ain't did nothing. You leave him alone. That's the way I was. And if I was gonna fight one, I sure wasn't gonna get no gang on him. No. You don't rat pack people. If you got a problem with a man, you fight him. I told you, this boy's a bunch of cowards, man. Get you at a disadvantage. You notice when people come in here, if I'm talking with somebody, I don't let the whole audience get involved in it. You shut up while I'm talking to somebody. That's just me and this person. He came in no room full of wolves. So, I mean, why he would let himself be fronted off like that to please a man? Donald Trump don't even respect him. I don't know why what he's thinking. If he respected him, he would have took his advice. He said he told him, he advised him not to call. Then after he called and messed it up, then want to send him out there. Go out there and clean that up for me. And you won't come out there and lick up his mess.
No, he should have just stopped. And because he told him that he couldn't handle it. Then after he messed it up, now you want to come out there and try to make it look like he didn't do wrong. You know, whenever you communicate with somebody, if they give you their ear and really give you their ear, and you know those people in that automobile gave the president their ear. They was listening for condolences. And instead, they found callousness. When you are in a position of authority and power, and you speak to people who you have a degree of authority over, and they respect that authority, and you speak to them and they feel insulted when you get through, it's not their fault. That's your fault. Let the white person that say I've said things that were insulting to them, let them come in here and tell me where I insulted them. I don't walk around insulting people. Whatever I say to a person, I make sure that what I'm thinking, I explain it enough so that they will get the message intact that I had in my mind when I said it to them. I ain't got to tell them, well, you think what you will about what. No. No, I'm going to make sure you understood what I said. And why I said it. Because that's what I would appreciate when people talking to me. If you say something to me and I tell you that you've insulted me, it's not up to you to tell me you didn't insult me. That is a tantamount to being pretty stupid. If a person tell you that you just insulted them, then the only thing out of your mouth, if you didn't mean to insult them, is, excuse me, I didn't mean to insult you. Now, you know, how did that insult you, or what did I say that insulted you? For that's not what I meant. I didn't say it to insult you. But you don't tell people you didn't insult them when they just told you you did. If they were adult enough to tell you to your face that you insulted me, but how do you do that to a president of the United States who's supposed to be an intelligent, caring, the epitome of what the best of the United States is? And then you get a man like that. Remind me Sunday, because I was wondering how so many white people voted for Donald Trump, that I just couldn't wrap my mind around how they could put a man like him over their government. Sunday, I'm going to show you why, if it pleases Allah. It ain't what you think. Because if I had seen it, I might have voted for him too. So if I don't know if I said it or not, but if I ever called you stupid for voting for him, as though everybody who voted for him was stupid, that wasn't accurate.
because, you know, I saw something that, you know, I couldn't believe it was the same man. So anyway, I no, that's the one thing that makes for a great people. When optimism springs eternal, when people always want to think the best of you. That's how you how many con men and con women get over on people. It's because most people want to believe that you mean well. You can be the worst crook on the planet, and yet if you're nice enough, people will give you the benefit of the doubt. Anyway, I'm gonna before I close this, it's Sunday we have 5 hours. I'm not gonna hold you here no 5 hours tonight, but Sunday we have approximately 5 or 6 hours to talk to you, and then I can go into depth and show you things that will make you change your mind about thinking that all people who support Donald Trump is stupid, or thinking that all people who support him is racist. You know, that just ain't true. And you know, I want to it's you know, I know why now. You know, and so just let's put a pin in it right there. Did anybody have something they wanted to ask me before I go? No, Mark, I'm not going to throw you in the hell for asking your questions, man. But I wish you would just, if you got something you wanted to discuss, why don't you come in here and discuss it with me? I don't mind talking. I like to talk with people who have a different view of things than me. That's how I sharpen my view. Do you know that any time that you are in a position of where you are trying to guide all types of people, in order to, if you're really trying to help the people, you always need to leave the door of disagreement open. Just like in business. The reason why in America they made it against the law to have a monopoly is because most people don't understand that it is through competition that business grows. People get better. They don't get complacent when there's competition. You know, you a lot of the innovations in the telephone industry, it came when competition was allowed. Before, remember, AT&T used to have a monopoly just about. And I remember getting $800 and some a month phone bills. I used to have to pay $800 and some a month to talk to believers, to teach and share the truth with people. Just like when I remember when cellular phones first came out. Don't you wish you had invested in that? But anyway, everywhere you used to go in America, there was phone booths. I mean, AT&T was making a killing. You know, South Central Bell South, bail this, bail that, but they was making a killing. From New York to California, all up and down the highway, payphones was everywhere, and they was raking it in. Now, you got all type of innovations. Got phones that are computers now, thanks to competition. You know, when a person, it's just like with me, if a Christian, if a person who called himself a Christian, well, see, I know that the only truly country that is actually a dark example of a Muslim country is called the United States of America. People don't know that. The Holy Quran says that the ones who are nearest in faith to the prophets, it says believers, that's the prophets. As in, you shall believe in him and you shall aid him. The ones nearest to the prophets in practical application are those who say we are Christians. The United States of America. Why do you think people are leaving countries that claim to be Muslim countries and fleeing to America? I was born in America. I'm the Mahdi. I couldn't have been born in them places. I had to be born in a place where religion is not a compulsion. I'm stubborn, man. And when people try to force something on me, no. I'm not gonna, you know, you may kill me, but I ain't gonna, you're not gonna force me to do something that I don't believe in. It's just like, you can pray all you want. Yeah, but you ain't got no right to get up and be, you know how people say the Adhan, the man calling, getting all up in the morning and hollering all over the community, making everybody else get up too. If people don't want to get up and pray, that's their business. That ain't your business. I call people to the faith of Islam. I don't try to force them to it. The only ones that I enforce the religion on is my children. Train a child up in the way he is to go, and when he becomes an old man, he won't depart from it. All my children, they know at meeting time, they know where they better be. Now, and they grew up, when they get grown, I tell them, okay, now you make up your own mind. And I'm not going to shed no tear over you if you walk off after I done told you right. I done taught you right. I raised you like Allah said. Now, if you want to go do something else, that's on you. What do you look like going to tell your son or daughter that you got to be a Muslim and they grown? They ain't got to obey you and they know it. So what you gonna do, kill them? So that's what Islam is? No, Islam is freedom. Freedom, justice, and equality. You see? And so this, you know, in America, you can't force religion on nobody. And at the same time, you can't order nobody not to pray either, in school or anywhere else.
People want to have prayer in school, you recognize their right to do so. It's not asking too much of you. Just like when you got out there on the highway and you riding up and down in the city, when the light turned red, don't you stop so that other people can go? Well, why do you want to claim it's some kind of infringement on your rights if you have to remain silent while people that want to pray have prayer? It's because you're wicked. Even tried to tell the poor judge there in Alabama or somewhere, the man had the 10 Commandments on the wall of his courtroom. You got all kind of pictures up there on the wall. If he want a picture of the 10 Commandments up there, what's that to you? I don't think he took them down either, did he? Did he take them down? I hope he didn't. And I'm gonna warn you, you better stop trying to tell people who believe in God that they don't have no right to do so. I don't know what America you grew up in, but the one I grew up in said you have a right to freedom of religion. Now, when the judge starts preaching from the bench, now we got a problem. But as long as he got them 10 Commandments up there, I would much rather be in a courtroom with a judge who says, got it up there, thou shalt not bear false witness against your neighbor. Thou shalt, I know if the man fear God, he may give me a little justice when I come in there. So, you know, I remember they used to have people put their hand on the Bible. But that is not permissible. So now they just have you raise your hand and get you under oath that you will tell the truth. You understand? Because what if the man don't believe in the Bible? Why would you force him to put his hand on the book if he don't believe in it? Show the man that you got sense enough to realize that the Bible said, whosoever will, let him come and drink of the water of life, not force feeding him, but freely. And the Holy Quran says the same. There's no compulsion in religion. So all these people trying to force Islam, trying to cram religion down grown people's throat, you have no right to do that. And that's why I told you America is the closest thing to a Muslim country that existed before the Nation of Islam got here. That's why the Nation of Islam was born here. The idea for the Nation of Islam came to fruition right here in America. So I'm almost done. Ain't nobody arguing with me. I'm always looking for somebody to argue with. So I done got used to arguing in the best manner. I'm not talking about insulting each other. I'm talking about when people present facts. Because when a person presents me with facts, I'm happy. And it don't take nothing out of me to say, oh man, I didn't know that. It's like a brother told me that the name Muhammad is not actually Arabic. It's Swahili. I didn't know that. But it made sense. Yeah. Yes, sir. Made all the sense in the world. Everybody know who Swahili people are. They're black people. The little black stone. So there's much to be learned. And so I'm always eager to learn. One of these days I'm going to read. I tell you what, y'all need to go online. Because these people that's trying to tear this country up in all this dark period, George Washington saw it in his vision. And eventually he saw the people
of America unite again and throw off that foolishness. But anyway, so just we can live and let live, right? Okay. I would have mercy, not sacrifice. So let us show respect for each other. May Allah bless us and keep us safe and in our right minds. May Allah's salam alaikum.